Hello, and we have reached the last quarterfinal here at the Women's Speed Chess Championship, and it's a big one because we are going to see teenage sensation Alice Lee take on an in-form Polina Shuvalova. Well, only one will go through. I'm your host, International Master Ivan Kahauska, and I'm so pleased to be calling all of the action alongside the absolutely legendary Grandmaster, Judit Polgar. Now, Judit, are you ready for the intense chess action that we're going to be seeing in the next coming hours?
Hi everyone, nice to be back with you. And I'm very excited. It was a great match we had on the other day. Very exciting, and I do hope that we're going to have another very exciting day, and we can't avoid to have dramas and fantastic moves, I think. So I'm looking very much forward to point it out.
Absolutely. It's going to be a match filled with thrills and spills. It's also the last match that is going to be played at the quarterfinal time control. So this one is going to be 45 minutes of 5+1, 30 minutes, 3+1, and then finally 15 minutes of insane action that is bullet chess. Now, of course, in the semifinals, everything is going to be a little bit longer, just a little bit more time for our players. For this one, we're going at breakneck speed, and the players are going to be fighting for a very coveted spot into the semi-finals. And the winner will be playing. There you are seeing it, Wenjun. And there we are going to see a beautiful quartet of some of the world's best chess players. Hou Yifan faces off against Katerina Lagno. But for the time being, it is Polina Shuvalova against Alice Lee. Ooh. Young teenage sensation Polina Shuvalova, who is coming off a really good tournament performance in the Turkish league. Everything to play for. Judith, what do you think we can expect?
Well, it's going to be very exciting. I remember Shuvalova, I think more than about 5 years ago, when there was this Challengers Chess Tour online, and there were groups, and I had her in my group, I think, when I made some lessons. She was the talented girl who I was looking, how is she doing? And well, she's several times won different age group world championships. So it is very clear that we are witnessing a girl, a young lady who has the fighting spirit out there. And she's a player who can win if there is a must-win situation. So the tiger is there. And of course, with Alice Lee, she's also very good. I mean, she was 13, I think, when she became an international master. So she's very serious about it. We've seen it before in different events and US championships and others. So I think both of the ladies have their fighting spirit. So both of them came here to win.
Absolutely. And in this format, the winner does take it all. Now, Polina Shuvalova, she did reach last year's WSCC final. And on Wednesday, we are going to be seeing two former WSCC winners. They are going to be battling out. There we can see on our screens, Polina, she is ready. But on Wednesday, the action is going to continue as we are seeing former women's world champion Hou Yifan take on the might that is Katerina Lagno. That one is going to be incredibly exciting, but let's focus on the match in hand. And remember, you can watch that on Wednesday. And here is someone who's won I'm Not a GM competition online. She also reached the final of the WSCC last year before losing to reigning women's world champion Wenjun, and she is going to be playing against Alice Lee. Alice Lee, she is just 15 years old. She became an IM at 13. She is all manner of talented as she actually looks to be getting her GM norm titles or GM title soon. I mean, I did know over the summer in the Cairns Cup, she was very, very close to getting that GM norm. But here she does have another task in hand, which is to see whether she can qualify to the semis. Last year, she was knocked out by Wenjun in the quarterfinals of WSCC. And I like to see Alice playing because she reminds us of how young she is, Judith, because she has a periodic table at the back of her wall.
Yeah, and it's nice to see very very young talents playing out there. And well, this generation, like her, she is from the digital generation, right? So probably for her, it is so natural to play online, playing, making moves with the mouse, making the pre moves, and just being there. For me, of course, it would be not so natural to do so. So, but she's growing up. Like 5 years ago during COVID, she was 10 years old. Everybody went online. So it's also interesting for me to see how the players are getting so much adjusted themselves that okay, whether it's online, offline, it's maybe does not even matter so much for this age group of kids.
Yeah, and there we're seeing on our cameras Polina. Did you catch the little tagline that our producers had labeled Alice Lee Youngster Supreme? And I completely agree with that. And Polina Shuvalova, she is a fierce competitor online. She's won the I'm Not a GM competition. She became the first woman actually in history to win that particular competition. It was a close match in the round of 16 against Maria Arabitsa, but she nailed it right in that final game of Bullet. And both of these players will be needing to bring their A game today. Alice Lee, traditionally, she's been a bit of a slow starter. She tends to lose in the 5+1 portion, but boy, does she come back as soon as the time control gets a lot quicker. She's made great comebacks against Vaishali. She really, like you said, Judith, she upped it up a notch when it was 3+1, and she was a bullet monster when it came to the 1+1 portion.
It is very interesting, I think, this system because you need different skills, and obviously, focus is number one, and it is something that both players know that everything will be actually depending on their focus. Of course, the 5 minutes, the slow kind of motion, right? What's going on in the first 45 minutes? It's kind of warming up, and then it's getting faster and faster and faster and faster. And it was interesting to see the play of the final Armageddon game last time because I had the feeling that the players must be speeding themselves up so much that it's so strange to go back after that to 5 minutes. But of course, starting out with 5 minutes and 1 second, it is just great time control, I think, to play out because you can't make a mistake. If you blunder something, you're going to lose that game most likely. While in a 1 minute bullet game, we witnessed some interesting and very painful stories out there the other day. So of course you need to switch your brain in fraction of seconds from the different time controls and also what has happened in the previous game. It is really exceptional how the players can adjust themselves. I would be loving to see. Oops.
Oh,
That
and
was
just like that, some moves quickly appeared, and we're going to join the action. We can see Polina with the white pieces. Well, she's opened up with a d4. We are actually seeing like a Queen's Indian type formation, and a knight has appeared in the middle of the board. Black really wants to get that central control on e4, and white is playing to dislodge it. Now, obviously, black can't go knight takes knight because of bishop takes b7 there at the end of that. So I'm expecting some reinforcement on e4, either with d5 or f4. Yeah, a d5 was a lot more natural.
well, they are playing very fast as we've seen. The first several moves. Though white is playing much faster for the moment. F5 was a must, wasn't it? To defend the pawn on e4.
Yes, absolutely needed to be done. And yeah, there we're seeing our audience, our chat cheering for their favorite players, who they want to win. Trust me, it helps. and, and, you know, it's very nice to know that you're playing chess and have some support. And in the meantime, we're seeing a breakthrough there in the middle of the board, f3. Now, you have two choices with black to either reinforce it with knight to f6, or much more likely is to take the pawn. No, you can't take the pawn on f3. What am I talking about? You do that, the rook on e1 comes to life.
E5. Very aggressive reaction to f3.
Yeah.
Bishop c5 check, I believe.
Just normal.
g5.
Ooh,
Mm.
even better, right? So the whole idea is you're going to just chase down that bishop. Bishop e3 is
Alice
going to get
is
f4.
not making jokes here. She's serious about taking the initiative in the match, but we'll see how she will be able to do that. Because now, for example, e6 is something that White might be considering to make an intermediate move, or she decides to go back with her bishop, maybe even to c1.
Yeah.
But that seems to
I
be
don't see.
not so much fun.
I must say that the bishop has to go back to c1, I think, because otherwise it's going to get chased down by the pawns. So, okay, I like your counter-attacking idea, e6. But, and is that you, Judith? Or is
It
that the
was me.
players?
No, I'm just quietly trying to give a hint that that's the move we are talking about. E6.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a messy move though, right? After e6, because suddenly, okay, you win on d7, but so the side becomes very loose, with pawns hanging on g3. But you have to roll the dice and go for it. e6. Don't signal retreat.
But it's not a good news for white, because after e6, first of all, knight c5 is also possible. That's also completely okay. But why not to take on f4 and then, well, let's see how the game will go. No move yet. So let's say queen d7. And I don't know. Give it check on c5, king h1. I don't know if queen f6 is possible. Maybe just f6.
And then I was thinking here you probably have to take off queens
e6 is
because
on
the
the
king.
board, by the way.
Okay, e6. Well, Alice already coming out swinging. So e6. And we're seeing the capture on f4. And maybe you.
I wanted to
I'm
go queen
surprised by.
d7. I don't give this queen opportunity for Alice Lee to come out with the queen and then give checkmate.
I completely agree with that as well. I have a golden rule. Whenever you're in trouble, swap of queens. Chances are you might survive an endgame. e3.
e3. I don't think Shuvalova is very happy what she sees on the board.
No. So good preparation there from Alice. And wow, look at this. The g3 pawn is going to be falling. The queen is going to come out to h4 at the right time. And suddenly, White's king is in a whole lot of danger. And there you can see the evaluation bar is saying, yeah, this is not good for White whatsoever. F takes g3.
Well, e takes f3 even is also kind of tempting. I mean, of course, fg is the most obvious because you also plan your queen to come to h4 after taking, right?
Yeah. I'm a very simple woman, Judith. I like to play for checkmate. If g3 queen h4 was on my agenda, and sure enough, it appears on the board. Yeah, I completely agree with Kat there. This is going to be a wild match. I mean, we've seen a lot of plenty intense, crazy matches so far, and this one is looking like a great start, perfect start for Alice Lee here.
And then f4 is coming, I believe. It's on the board. f4, f3. Okay, this was not much fun for white.
Rook takes bishop, I guess, forced. And then, yeah, you have to blockade and then pray that you're allowed e5, e6. That's an unlikely hope.
Well, in your dreams.
I
Having
agree.
this B7 bishop, you're not going to make E5, E6 in this game, I believe.
I
Sorry to
completely
disappoint.
agree. That's why I said pray. Get on your knees and pray. But yeah, obviously that didn't happen. And now, wow, rook coming into D3. You can't take that rook because the rook on F2 is going to be falling. And yeah, F4, F3 in the air. It's very difficult for white to even get a single effective check. F3 is what I'm
Absolutely.
thinking.
Well, F3 comes to mind immediately, right? Remove that. She's
Yep.
checking if knight E7 gives any trouble, and it's on the board.
King F7. And yeah, this is it. There's no more checks to be had. You either drop with a bishop to F1, or the knight falls.
Well, she doesn't want to resign because she doesn't want to start the next game. And it comes automatically, right? If you resign, then next second you get the first move out on the board. Okay, so that was kind of an easy, seemingly easy win in the first game with Alice, but she had to make some very nice decision actually. E5 sacrificing the pawn and G5. That was a shocker.
Yeah. E5, great move there from Alice. And yeah, I was very impressed. She was given the opportunity to push, and in she comes. She has no hesitation whatsoever. So waiting for the second game, yeah, 98% for Alice in terms of accuracy. And woo, the moves playing at lightning pace. We're catching up with the players right now. And this time, Alice Lee with the white pieces. And she adopts a kind of ratty approach, with knight f3, c4. Big question what to do with the light square knight, sorry, the knight. Put it on the edge of the board.
That was kind of unexpected to have knight on a4, don't you think so?
Yeah, I was expecting it to go back to b1, as
But
you.
why do they play in seconds, the opening?
No, I think there's some kind of lag and the moves.
No,
No
but
one
still,
can play that quickly. Yeah.
I mean, they played. I'm watching the clocks, and that was until knight a4. I think it was like 17 seconds or something by Lee.
Hmm. She hasn't used that much time. Looking at the clock, she's maybe used 30 plus seconds. And yeah, the knight is saddled there on a4. Now, I'm just thinking about the kind of positions, you really want to be going b4 and black strategy. So b4 does appear. And I was going to say, like, because I play this type of stuff with the white pieces, kind of colors reversed, and normally the position all hinges on whether white will be able to make use of this knight on a4. If they're unable to do so, then in this particular situation, black is just going to have a very comfortable game.
But black has a better position.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand bishop c1 trying to bring back the knight later, but what kind of knight is that? Sorry to be so critical about white play.
No, no, no. Oh, no, because this is exactly the whole hint. I'm just kind of using my pattern recognition from similar positions that I get with colors reversed, and there, the whole position, whether it's good or bad, is dependent on this knight. And if it's a bad piece, then often in this particular situation, white is just simply going to be struggling. And there you see, e5 comes, black has complete control over the center. And the knight on b2 is just on a bad circuit.
Okay, this move e4 I think was a must, kind of an only move. Trying to survive this storm, what black was trying to make, playing e4 herself. D takes e3. Well, actually, if black, well, queen b7 seems to be also kind of unpleasant. in some cases. Well, if white would be able to regroup the knight to c3, after that to go knight d2, white could just get a completely reasonable position. I would go knight d2 maybe now. Then, of course, knight g4 is what white has to look after.
Yeah.
What do you think? What was
I
the
like
idea
that move,
behind
knight
bishop? What was the idea behind bishop d6?
I'm not sure. I was expecting queen b7, like you were mentioning, and no, it's a
I
little
think,
bit of a mystery to this bishop and d6, because you could also, as black, you kind of want to be putting a knight onto d4, but it's not going to get there that easily.
well, you have your rook on b8, which could be a place for the knight and come to this place, rook b7, but I think white is just going to go back to knight a4 and knight c3 after this.
Hmm. And sure enough,
Maybe even
knight
knight
does get to
d5.
d8.
Maybe I would even go knight d5. Knight f5 is also tempting.
Yeah, I yeah,
White
because at
is
least
back
you get
on.
the square for c4. Yeah, and sure enough, she does exactly what you recommended. I mean, Alice doesn't need any hesitation to come forward. This is what I noticed about the younger generation. They don't care about double pawns or anything. They are just all about active pieces. And yeah, well, there's still the problem for white, how to make use of this knight on b2, because black's plan is going to be very simple. Knight c6, knight to d4. So maybe now time to activate knight a4,
I
I
would go
think.
knight a4. I would go knight a4. Because if I
And then
have the
knight
time
c6.
to regroup it and strengthen it, okay, knight d1 with the same idea. Yeah, so she's going to play knight takes on f6. Why to take on f6? Look at that. Now the knight
No.
will stuck on d1 because white has to take on d4.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's actually looking really problematic where to put the queen. You know, she could only move to a4, and now the knight is controlled on. There's only
Yeah,
one
on
square,
d1.
you know, b2.
Yeah, but then if you go to b2, where are you heading to?
Nowhere.
You should make a jadoo by playing knight d1 to d2.
Like
I'm
it would change
commentating
the
too
whole
much
nature of the game.
freestyle, yeah? Hmm?
And yeah, well, this is a real problem. This knight on d1. Okay, knight
Look at
f2,
this
knight to e4.
weakness.
It's yeah. Yeah, but how to connect the rooks, how to make sense of this? I mean, do you have to do something? Okay, knight f2 anyway. But okay, rook e3, rook b2. But the first move that comes to mind for me is rook e3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Queen c6. Get
Rook
active.
b6. Ah, bishop f8. Putting into safety.
But white is starting to untangle here. And
Yeah, I didn't like bishop's f8, you know. I don't know what was better, but I was not so happy with that move.
yeah, it would have been nice to somehow like try go rook b6 and then kind of threaten something on the king side. But okay, it was done. And now we're seeing white slowly untangle and let's just under the minute. So how to make any inroads with the black pieces. Yeah, I kind of like this concept of keeping both rooks on the board. And there's still this possibility that if the white queen drifts too far away from her king, I'm looking at g5, Judith.
g5. That seems to me that it's playing with fire. I would be taking it, and then my knight jumps to e4 and f6. In this position, probably black could try rook e1. Or just
Uh-huh.
forget everything and try to make some attacker
And
pawn
by the way,
moves.
Judith, if Alice wins this game, she is going to hit a new peak on Chess.com rating. Isn't that
Wow.
cool?
Wow. But do you think she keeps that in mind? Does she care?
Yes. Yes, this
Yes?
new generation, they care a lot. Yeah, like seriously, the online blitz rating is very, very important to them. Like you got to be smashing those records. And yeah, how strong, I can't quite read her rating. What it is. Is it
2906.
2906?
Yeah. Ah, but now white is completely fine.
Maybe even better than fine. Look, look, look. The a pawn is a runner and the knight on
Knight
f2. Okay,
d1,
knight
knight
d1.
d1, blundering a rook. That never helps.
But you got to see it. Backward
I
knight
know.
moves. Not easy. There's it's still on the table. Rook a2. Okay.
Out of the danger zone.
Yeah.
Interesting that none of them sees it for several moves.
Yeah.
Unexpected.
And well, this is the problem though is that the a pawn is going to be caught. You can just drop the rook back to e7, and both sides are fine. The white knight on f2 is like probably got the MVP of the board because it really held the position together. And rook takes a7, rook b1, king comes up.
But white is running out of time. 4 seconds.
Yeah. Mm. But she has a few kind of moves in her back pocket, right? She just has to, and there we see Alice playing ever so quickly. She has to.
Well,
Rook
rook
g1.
g1. Or rook e1.
Yeah. And somehow, but the knight on f2 still holds everything together. I'm expecting bishop e1. No, but bishop e1 is still. It's not easy to kind of find a way to make improvements on the position. Yeah, you can go rook f3, but bishop d2. The knight just
Well, if you.
holds the most critical
Oh.
points. Now the d pawn falls. Yeah. Rook
Well,
takes h3.
maybe it is going to be saved by white.
Yeah, very impressive how Alice just keeps on finding those quick moves. So I'm expecting d3 makes a lot of sense. And now
Rook
black is probably
f3.
going to start oh, and king to
Because
d2. Alice is
rook
turning it
e3,
around.
rook e3, rook e4 was.
Hmm.
Wow.
And now this is the
Wow.
issue. The rook is completely cut off. Wow.
But now takes on king d5.
Hmm. Alice has just got no time on the clock. So she probably had to just push the pawn. And instead, after this, okay, king to d5. And, well, it is going to be a draw because neither side can make progress. Black just has to keep on maintaining the opposition, keep the king opposite white's king, and there they have it. Yeah, a draw agreed. But whew, that was a very crazy game. A lot of missed opportunities. But on the other hand, a draw on balance seems like a fair enough result. But we move on to game 3. And Alice now with the black pieces. So Polina, she was in trouble right at the beginning in the game 1. So I'm expecting something a little bit different from her. And let's see whether some moves have appeared. And yeah, this is a completely different approach. It's no no longer this mainstream Queen's Indian, instead just keeping things flexible. But this concept of going knight to c6, what do we think?
I don't know. Usually I was playing systems with the c5, but well, it seems like black is preparing to play e5, but that's kind of a simplification. Well, for now, probably. Hold on. I mean, everything was made in order to. I mean, rook e8. Obviously, it prepares e5, right? At the same time, I would not like to simplify the position at all. But
Yeah. What
but
are
you
the
know,
things about putting the knight on? Yeah.
when knight is on c6, you cannot play c5 anymore. So that's why when you do something like this, you have to be very careful and deliberate to know what you're doing, really, because for it, so
Yeah.
it's oh, we have more moves happening very fast. And
Yeah. So
yeah, because black went back to d6, just going because he going back a little bit, and then it seems like white is taking over the initiative because now black has this knight on c6, which is not so well placed, and white is very much controlling the whole center. Sorry, that was a
that's
bad
okay.
mouse bad mouse work from me. I mean, I would be
I just thought
playing
you were
blitz.
setting us up for some
If I would
future
play
hair
blitz,
raising moments. Get ready, guys. This is just the beginning, you know. and there we can actually see the evaluation bar is creeping up. So I just wondered,
but what
bishop
was
to
going
g4
on?
looked a bit. Was there some d5 ideas? Yeah, there was d5 ideas coming in and displacing the knight from c6. So, okay, rook to e3, you know, white is still doing super well. And now you can still go d5. Just boot that knight away from the c6 square.
Interesting that we are witnessing again something similar to the game two, the previous game. That there is one idea, both of them are completely missing it. Because usually what happens, you miss an idea or you blunder, and then your opponent did not realize it. By that time, you realize it, and then you change the course, right? You move away that piece. And it's happening again that there was this d5 opportunity. Black is making a move, and white is missing it again.
Mm-hmm.
Knight
Now
a5.
the decision.
See? The
No
problem
more.
with that knight.
Exactly. Well, now the queen just maneuvers herself to a3. Well, it wasn't the best of squares, but still good enough. And you know, the thing is, you know, black's knight on c6 is still bad. There's no breaks in the position. You can't get e5. c5 is impossible. And white is the only one with pressure against it, e7. So it's such a difficult position here for
Well, you know, I
Alice.
wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised if the best thing would be for black to take the knight and to play e6 and somehow to hold on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And there we're seeing queen a4. Just to kind of confirm, is there some just checking knight takes d4 is not possible?
But you know, it's also strange. I don't understand why Polina is playing so fast. I mean, we are moved 20 and she's uh, above 4 minutes. Where is she rushing to? Is she making preparation for
Hmm.
the bullet game or what?
Yeah, maybe it's this kind of strategy. It could be excitement, right? Because when you're nervous, you tend to not play so calmly. Maybe it's something like that. Or maybe this is a deliberate strategy. She just wants to put the pressure on Alice. And here comes
Finally,
d5 in the air.
d5.
And you can't take that pawn on d5 because the white knight will come into the position, knight to e5, and the bishop on g2 will be attacking both the queen and the knight. So this is super bad news for black. So black has to move that knight away from c6.
Knight a5.
Yeah, and now tempting moves
Well, b3 is
to,
option to keep the knight out,
yeah.
not to allow the knight to bring it into c4 with the tempo.
Yeah. I was looking at queen e2 just to pile up on the pawn on e7. So b3, perfect. Very grandmasterly type move, dominate the knights, prevent it from jumping in. That's something I've noticed. All the grandmasters I comment alongside, they suggest moves like this, Judith.
Yeah, because once you have a piece out from the whole thing, then I mean the game can be over. I mean here also, for example, for black, the first thing has to be to move you. It's done. Knight b7 to regroup your piece. Otherwise, you're just lost if you allow one two moves, improving white's position. So the first thing you have to bring back your pieces alive into the center, into activity. I mean, of course, white has
Yeah.
an incredible position. c4, for example, playing c5.
Yeah, that looks very tempting. I was a little bit sad about rook e3 because now you couldn't pile on with queen to e2, triple up on the e line, but this is still extremely good for black. Sorry, for white. So many moves. Rook e4, I mean, I was also drawn to h5, softening up the light squares.
But it's just. I mean, it's one thing to have a very good position, but it's another thing that you have to understand that you have a great position. It does not win by itself. Okay, you have to put effort and you have to make a plan to convert your huge advantage. So to play rook e4, rook e2, king g2, queen c1, all these preparational move, you can do it, but eventually you have to take actions.
Yes.
And
That's
last three
interesting,
moves were
right?
not. No, it was
Yeah.
just not
No, that's
beneficial for white.
But I also wonder whether that's also playing the person, not the actual board. Because, I was drawn to h5, and I'm pretty sure that Polina was also thinking about that. But it might have been like a match strategy that maybe Alice is not very good at waiting. So they've decided, as part of the way that she's going to play, is just to keep things very, very tense, just not force things, because we saw Alice was so good in the first game, E5, G5 game. So why make the play clear cut? Why make it direct? And well, big decision now as we see bishop takes c3 being threatened.
Okay, bishop e5, cutting off the power of the bishop on g7. Now, it's a provocation. Will black play f6, which looks extremely ugly, or capture? And f6 is on the board. Ooh, it's so easy to provoke Alice Lee, it seems. I mean, look at this bishop on
Yeah.
g7. Are you really happy with this bishop? Okay, it's some very concrete idea that I want to push f6 g5 so I can capture the black square bishop. But what about this weakness over here? Some Emmentaler cheese kind of stuff?
Yeah,
What a hole
completely
over there.
agree. And it's not just that. I was also looking if you can set up a battery, dislodge this knight from f5. I was thinking, queen to d3, bishop to e4, open up, and wow,
c4. Do you
c4.
understand this?
Brilliant move. And well, we're going to see it in action here as Polina just
Wow.
sacrifices a piece, and the move's coming thick and fast. And yeah, Rick comes into e6. This extra piece that black has doesn't mean anything. Now you can take on f7. Take on f7 with check.
And not, well, still winning bishop c3, bishop f3,
Yep.
but king
Still
g1
absolutely
probably
fine.
also
Bishop
winning.
f3. Yeah.
Yeah, bishop
But
f3 is the best.
it's nice, right? Because bishop takes c6 will come with attacking the rook. Okay, and there you see that these moves have been played. And the pawn on e6 is just a real thorn in black's side. You
Yeah,
can
okay,
just
this
defend
will
it.
be won winning by Polina. 7 seconds and the lost position, dead lost position for Leslie.
Hmm. Yeah, and now it's just a case of bringing in the monarch g4. I love this type of chess. Now, careful, but knight to e3. We've seen turnarounds, but yeah, king to f3. All is good.
King e4. Still, I'm sure Alice will try to move the bishop away from here, so the knight threat will show to go to c3. But
Yeah,
probably
we have, yeah, rook to d8 is a possibility.
mhm.
Bishop to f7, trying to set up some kind of mating net. This is also good. I mean, white can literally, there you go, big threat of going knight to c3. And it appears,
Oops.
and
Equalization by Polina. Very nice move, c4. Very nice move. Then she had to be calm and making some super stuff. She was doing it. Whoa! Next game is on. Catalan.
it is, and this time Alice has diverged from the knight f3, c4, b3 ideas. It wasn't a success for her, I would say, in game two, but now it is still all systems go. Yeah, I must admit, Paulina there in that final game just played super well, sacrificing a piece, understanding that, okay, she had positional compensation. And there you can see from the evaluation bar that this is actually like a percentage of win, loss, draws in previous games. So we were in main line theory. And now everything is just going to be hinging on whether white can make use of their space advantage and whether black can just try to mobilize those bishops. So I'm expecting a5. A5 is a nice square, nice move to take control of the over the b4 square.
Yeah, a5, it happens many times. I've been playing this with black mainly in my career, and it's not an easy structure. Karpov was playing a lot against me as well. A5. Grishchuk was
Mhm.
playing it against me. There was a period of time when it was very fashionable. Very many people like to do this system. And well, if you have a better understanding in the structure, then there's a great chance you're gonna win. Well, I don't know whether how much I would prefer to play it with white because exactly as you said, this outpost on b4 it can be very useful for black. Either put the bishop there, or not yet, just control that square.
Well, one
Even
thing is
rarely.
clear is as white, you have to have a lot of patience. You have to make these kind of very slow build moves. You have to go e3, you have to do some maneuvering. And I was never the patient type, even though I do like my positional moves. And there we're seeing the knight coming to b5. So you cannot take that knight because the rook on c1 is eyeballing it. And we're seeing some trades. And it's very nice to see Alice Lee. She's very young, 15 years old, and she's playing like the greats from the past, Karpov, as you mentioned. And now the question is how to kind of slowly make those adjustments in the white position just to have a plan at least.
Queen a3 is not a bad idea at all. Now, for example, there is a threat, right? Knight c4, rook d7, knight b6.
Hmm. And
King
what
f8,
you
defending the queen on e7. So that's the idea. At the same time, when we have the queens, I'm not so crazy to have that king over there.
yeah, it seemed to me a very weird move. I was thinking knight to c4, but okay. Now the rook retreats because knight c4 was a big threat with the idea of just snatching the pawn on a5. But here, rook to d8. And this is one of the things. It's very difficult for black to actually beat back that rook on c5. You can't go b6. The knight is very well placed on e5. So even though black is very, very solid, it still requires some comfort in playing cramped positions.
Yeah, but for example, rook d5 is an option to try to eliminate that strong and powerful rook on c5. But she played with the knight. Probably she wants to go knight b4,
Yep,
control some squares.
makes a lot of sense. And then, maybe you can start the beat back from then, knight b4, then rook d5, and maybe you can even dream about going f6 at the right time. But
f6
how
is
is Polina
something.
going to?
F6 is something usually it does not favor black. It's a
Yes,
temporary relief that you kick out the knight from e5.
yeah, that is true. See, I told you I don't have the patience for this type of position,
This
neither
is
with
a
white
threat now.
nor with black. Oh, yes,
Generally, white
incoming.
should be going back to e5, and after that, I think she should be doing h4 kind of things, slow, improving moves.
Absolutely. And there we're seeing, yes, it is true. Alice, she's younger player, but she is the higher rated player. She really plays a lot of online chess. She's very young, improving, and we are expecting her just to hold her nerve, go back knight to e5, and then just switch over to the right side of the board. And sure enough, she does this.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was a premature move. Knight c4, queen
hmm
b6.
just looking at the match timer, just 5 minutes and 20 seconds remaining at this particular time control. Do you think this is going to be the last game at this portion?
Well, there is a good chance to that, I believe, but we are on the edge. It depends how
Mhm.
long endgame play it will be.
And this is also another question, like how much effort do you put in grinding this one out?
Well, rook d5, yeah. Well, it's also a question how much Alice thinks that she can press. Because for players who does not have patience, um, I'm not sure they can play it out the way that they eventually win the game. You have to have patience here.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you
you
don't have
absolutely
much
do.
chance to win. Because it's little advantage. It's just more pleasant to play it with white. There is one weakness in black's position right now. It's the a5 pawn, right?
Yeah. And how to make use of it? I mean, do you take the rooks and then just argue that there we see the rooks are off the board? And then now the question remains, like, you don't really want to be putting a pawn on d5. That knight kind of wanted to be on b4. And now it just
Well,
jumps in, rook a7.
yeah.
And the question is now the time to make moves like e4? Do you go f3, prepare e4?
Well, I think e4 would be kind of giving away something, stakes, and then the knight could be coming to d5. That would be a great
Yeah.
opportunity for black. The white knight can be very powerful on f5 here in these positions, I
Yes.
believe.
Uh-huh.
Rook
This is also
b1,
a really
white.
nice plan.
Well, especially if I would have my pawn on h5, I would be even more happy.
And is there a problem with that? I was a little bit concerned that this knight on d6 might get trapped at the right time. So is
Well, you
g6
mean
an idea?
g6?
Yeah.
Well, that's a question. Well, probably b4 is possible, and you're not in time.
Mm-hmm.
Because b4 is coming whether you want it or not.
Right. And then the question is knight c4. Is this any good? Do you just take? Maybe you just take on b4 and
I don't know
okay.
if.
Do we have any moves?
Yes, we do
Well,
have. King f8 was
let's
played. And b4. There is a simplification. Well, white is going to be suffering because after rook b6, king c7 is coming.
That is true. And I guess you just stick the rook on b4. You still got f3, e4 as a break, and
Yeah, but you have all these weaknesses on a4. And it's white who is fighting for a draw.
yeah,
Definitely
and there you
white.
can see.
But of course, there are a lot of choices still for white and black.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of decision to be made. I mean, b5, for example, was a very sensible move, immediately creating a pass pawn, right?
Yeah, and then coming in with the king. Very nice. The b6 looked also super tempting, you know. Get in c5 and dislodge the rook. And by the way, Alice doesn't have so much time. It's
Yeah,
just,
she's again.
under 7 seconds.
Yeah. Very long time.
Mm-hmm. And, well, rook f6 is in the air, so is it time to take a step back with the rook, cover some squares? 8 seconds. This is going to be the last game, played at the 5+1 portion. So decision time for Polina is equal in the match with 1.5 points apiece. So okay, rook goes to f6 at one per stage. And now I'm expecting this endgame should be relatively clear. White can go rook g6, rook c6, get the rook behind the passed pawn. The white king is within touching distance of the c pawn.
Well, it's good that d4 is not possible because of check on c5.
Mm-hmm. It's coming. Well, it still doesn't have time.
But now neither of them have time.
No. So it's just going to be all about the clock. And Polina is the one who has a pawn advantage. She can throw in a check. Instead, she chooses to come forward with the king. Now, that was just a question of the clock, making the moves fast enough. I mean, both of these players are so quick.
She did not take. Yeah? Did not fall into that. Well, it was a draw anyway.
Yep.
Let's hope that they don't blunder. 2-2.
2-2. Well, everything is equal, but is everything balanced? Judit, who would you say has impressed you the most in this portion?
Well, I more would say there are two highlights. One is the e5 g5 idea in game one, and Polina impressed me with the c4 piece sacrifice in the previous game. But these two were nice moments.
Absolutely. Well, you know what happens next is going to be the 3+1 portion where both players are going to be leveling up as things get more and more intense. And talking about leveling up, well, don't forget to subscribe to our Twitch channel. Unlock exclusive emotes of your favorite players, no ads on Chess.com, and fun content during the broadcast breaks. So use !subscribe in chat to level up your streaming experience. And we're going to go on a break. And when we come back, we are going to be right down with the 3+1 portion just in a few minutes. See you after this.
When competing against strong players who'd previously said dismissive things about women chess players like Garry Kasparov or Nigel Short, for instance, did you feel the need to try extra hard to beat them to prove a point? Was there any other group of players you had any kind of grudge against? Well, I grew up and it was very natural that people were not accepting really that small girls are competing with men. And Susan was kind of the icebreaker in this in the beginning. For me, it was already much easier to play in the open section. But of course, I remember that I had to prove it much more time that I can play well, and I'm not there in those tournaments by chance, but I belong there. In some cases, of course, it was more challenging and I was more ambitious to show. So, of course, when I was playing against Kasparov, it was a huge challenge and I wanted more than anything to play a game or play games that I really show great fight, and eventually I even won. I also had cases where not so strong players at all, men had some sexist remarks, or you knew the way they were thinking about little girls. Okay, you win, but you were lucky, and they were expressing these kind of thoughts. So then the victory was more tasty even. But generally speaking, I was more focusing on the game and give the maximum I can and score the maximum I can.
Oh, that's a difficult question. Definitely not me. Maybe, I don't know, Krista seems like she would, but like I don't really know too many of the players personally and how I would connect. But yeah, I guess who else is like good at bullet? Yeah, maybe Hou Yifan, she won it a few times. Probably accuracy, because I think we're playing blitz, so I mean, of course it's important to not lose on time, but I think there's an increment. As long as like there's no like internet lag and reaction time is like quick enough to not lose on time, then accuracy should be more important. I guess for preparation, I think it's very useful for me to like look over openings beforehand, and I have like blitz openings or bullet openings, but usually actually I don't engine check them. So like when I play on Chess.com, I'm just playing by what my experience is in specific openings. But yeah, I think like looking at openings beforehand can actually be very useful for not just this event but for other events in the future. Like I remember I had a match against Tanny a couple of years ago where I prepared like some opening lines in Knight of 3, and I've basically just been using that for my speed chess ever since. I think definitely luck is, but for such a long match, I think it would be less down to luck and more down to like nerves. But of course, especially matches that are really close, then it's just a coin toss. Like, it's also a bit down to luck. Oh, I mean, I guess I have to win the first match, otherwise I'm out, right? So I'm playing with Shiley, and I think that would definitely be a difficult match. And if I'm able to win that, I'm not sure I'm playing, but I'll be quite happy to advance either way. And I'm sure my opponent will be quite difficult as well in the next round if I do advance.
are back. Everything is completely balanced. It is equal as we go into 3+1. It's been tense. The score is 2-2. Both players have struck with a win. Alice Lee did come out swinging in the first game, but it's going to be hinging on this portion. We often see Alice Lee, especially just 15 years old, level up, especially in this time control where she plays so quickly. Judith, what does it take to be successful in this time portion of the match?
Well, first of all, I think you have to switch your brain that it's going to be faster. At the same time, I must say that for Polina, it will be not very hard because she played so fast anyway. I felt that Alice Lee was the slower player. At the same time, with 5 minutes, she was doing okay, even though in several occasions she went down to 3 seconds. So we'll see how much Alice Lee will be faster in this time control. But I think she was making a better time management in the first portion.
Definitely. But one of the things about Alice, as you mentioned, is that we've often seen her play with just seconds left on the clock. And she saved quite a few games when she was just playing on that 1 second increment. So it does tell us that she's a very cool customer. And I can see the games they have kicked off, and we are seeing a Caro-Kann. It is e4 from Polina. Now, Polina going for the advanced variation. Alice challenging in the middle with c5. And, well, knight c6, Alice means business. This is one of the sharper lines. And I think one of your games, Judith, is a model for how to play with the white pieces.
Are you referring to my game which I played in the European Championship in 2011?
Yeah, there was a game with white. That's all I know, that you were playing on the white side and you won very nicely. And hang on a second, there's a big mistake there on the board because knight to f5 is not what you should be playing.
Knight f5, but bishop d4 is also kind of tricky.
Yeah, I think bishop c6 and queen a4 was like tends to be the main ideas. But whoa, what is happening here? Knight takes g2, and suddenly, I mean, my God.
We are speechless. Suddenly we are speechless.
It just happens so quickly. Maybe whilst the players are quickly thinking, maybe we can backtrack that series of moves, because knight to f5 was a blunder because you could just take that knight and go queen a4. That's what I remember.
I think this game will not last long.
No, there definitely won't be lasting long. But maybe we have time to quickly show it.
Yeah.
Because it was like a catalogue of errors. So knight to f5. Here you're just meant to take. This is what I remember. You're taking, you go queen a4.
And having this double attack on the c6 pawn.
Yes.
And over the g4 bishop. So it was kind of winning material. Instead of this, what has happened after knight f5, I've made a blunder basically, because after knight h4, which is still not completely awful for white, but now she made a mistake of giving up the pawn on g2. I think she just completely forgot about the pawn on g2. Otherwise, I don't know whether rook g1 maybe white had to play.
I think it had to be played. I mean, it's ugly, but then again, it's a wild position. And so there we're seeing that...
anyway.
Yeah, definitely. But rook to g1, I think, is the most normal move. But let's have a look at the game position now, because bishop e2 happened. And then that's what we're seeing. The knight came and took. And suddenly, white's rook is very poorly placed on h1. But it's not the rook, it's the king. The king is just completely open.
Isn't it over taking on... not yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
Probably bishop g4.
Magic a queen. Yeah, bishop to g4, and then I guess you go bishop to e2 and grit your teeth and hope for the best.
I don't believe that you have anything that you can call the best.
No.
I don't know. Going with it. I don't know.
It's bad news, but we have a knight d2 instead. So bishop e2 was not attractive. Knight
No,
d2, it doesn't look great either. But then again, black's is the one who's winning, and white is just trying to hold on.
I mean, look at this king. How poor. What about this rook on h1?
Yeah, not
What
good.
an upsetting position for white.
Okay, but you still have to win this as black. So f6, oh, yeah, so good.
35 seconds only for black.
But the moves do play itself. Like if you go e takes f6, you got knight takes bishop, and then the queen comes in. Okay, I like what Polina is doing. She found herself in a losing position. She's trying to unravel. At least now she has a hiding place for the king on h2.
Will she reach that square?
Alice only has 20 seconds.
True.
It may be possible. Now we've got knight takes knight. And what other moves? Can you even grab that pawn on e5?
Well, yeah, because after check, knight can come back to g4, right? Grabbed
Okay.
on h. Takes.
And I somehow feel that white still has a chance to survive this one.
I agree. Not with this move. Why not bishop e5 immediately? Now queen h5 and she cannot grab the e5.
No, the knight is hanging on f3.
Well, unless she can, and she can play this and sacrifice. Takes, queen e6.
Rook e1. Queen f7.
Bye-bye.
Exactly. Black is going to castle next move. Yes. And Alice just got 10 seconds, though. So if Polina can somehow keep the game sufficiently complicated, then maybe she has a chance. Bishop e3.
Not a fun position to play it with white, I must say. How black will play castle. What about the f5? What white is going to be doing with the f3 knight? How to hold on?
Yeah, you try and trade off queens, maybe knight to
7 seconds for both.
No, I know. And now Alice taking full control. There you see, she wins
Taking the
because
lead.
Polina does not have a space for that bishop to move. So Alice, once again, who emerges in the first game with a victory, but now we move swiftly on to the second, and Alice goes for exactly the same pattern. She goes for the knight f3, b3 formation.
Yeah, of course, it's clear that she is looking somehow to alternate different ideas, different opening, somehow switching from here to there to here. I was expecting that maybe she can play this rook g1, g4 kind of things, but d4. The boring classical d4 kind of stuff.
Maybe we'll see it in the 1+1. Rook g1.
Exactly. This is what I had. This is what I thought also just when I said it.
Well,
Okay,
for the time being, everything is stable, and all she has to do is get castled, connect the rooks, and find a role for all of the pieces. So you kind of want to be eyeballing the e5 square. You want to be reacting to whatever black does. So if black goes c5, there you see knight to e2 being played. And now the knight's got ideas of going into f5. But everything is going to be hinging around black's breakthrough and the fact that the white knight on f3 can jump into e5 at the right time. So all very quiet. It's just a maneuvering game. Feels like this is one of these games that should be played at like 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Black seems to have a fantastic a dream position because black is by playing g6, she's stopping all kind of knight f5 possibilities with having these pieces on the d file and e file completely controls the possibility of knight e5. But just as I said it, she played it anyway.
Mhm.
So maybe it's not controlling completely because if everything is going to be exchanged on e5, then the c7 would be attacked. So is white going
No,
to be playing f4
well,
or knight
f4
c6?
is tempting. I was thinking knight to c6 and just cement that knight on that square. But okay, maybe f4 was an idea to have considered, but it wasn't without its risks. Um, the queen is offside here, so
What
now
about e4?
e4.
I think e4
Maybe I was
should.
thinking queen e2.
Well, queen e2 is possible, of course. Attacking the a6 pawn. That also had its ideas. Still, I would just push e4, e4.
Yeah, e4 is very tempting as well. Just open things up, especially because the rook on e6 looks a bit funny. It's a bit vulnerable to kind of. And there, okay, she goes for the plan of targeting a6, and no, they're not the best move. Oh, well, hang on a second. And now you still got your bishop to g3 idea. Now you can go rook a8, and then you can do it.
Well, I would go rook e8,
Yeah,
maybe.
that's also. And one other plan that I'm thinking about is also black can go knight f6 followed by knight g4 and queen h5. I'm sorry. Sometimes I think I'm too basic.
No, that's funny, and it's nice if you can reach that. But I think c5 was not the right way of playing it. It allows to open up this long diagonal. It can only hurt black. Bishop
Yes,
b5, I like that move.
it's a very nice move. I like it too.
Putting
There's no knight
pressure.
f6 on the agenda. Yeah, and now everything is starting to look a little bit clumsy for black, as you can win a pawn. That's the first move I'm considering. Bishop takes knight, followed by d takes c5. And suddenly this bishop on b2 becomes a monster.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. And where is black attack? Where is it? Maybe
Well, she'll
black.
have to generate it too soon. But if you go d4, c6 is coming.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the real problem. That's a serious problem. But how can black fight for her life?
Hmm.
Rook e6, trying to hold on that pawn on b6. It's gonna be taken. Queen b6.
Yeah. And the problem
Next
is
move.
that the queen is infiltrating. Queen b8 is in the air. Queen takes a5. You can just even lock this bishop out of the game. You can go, yeah, I was going to suggest bishop d4 as well. So d4, might as well roll the dice.
Let's take it.
Yeah,
24 seconds.
not so much time. Tick tock goes the clock. Okay, this is a nice move. Now no rook is ever going to be entering. Is it time just to kind of go rook takes bishop?
Exactly.
Queen d5.
Exactly. Takes. Queen
See what happens
d5.
next.
f3 only move. Takes. Rook f2. And what's next? But we have other position on the board. We have this. f3. Bishop is standing on d4. Where is the queen moving? Only square, c7.
Okay. And Alice just there with 15 seconds. Polina, time ticking down. And Polina's doing a great job at initiating chaos. I mean, this is not one-way traffic for White. White has to be careful.
Well, 12 seconds on both sides, anything can happen because there are potential blunders everywhere with such a different color bishop position.
Yeah. And now it's getting jacked. But now you can go rook to take the pawn. And now is the time. Rook takes bishop, and then try to get a rook into e2. Well,
Queen
now
c7.
Alice, 4 seconds. Oh, and this is it. Black is going to win. The bishop can take. And now you can just give a check. And, well, Polina strikes back. Wow. Generating an attack from nowhere. I mean, Alice was completely in control. And then things just went wrong right there in those final seconds. I mean, how painful is a game like this?
Well, it is very painful, but I think Alice Lee made some wrong decisions, practical decisions. That was her biggest mistake. But of course, when you're down to a few seconds to finish the game, it's all 100% about intuition, so we can't blame her on that, making mistakes.
Yeah.
C takes d3. So now the match is equal, 3-3. That must have been hurting a lot Alice Lee the previous game. So let's see how she's ready to fight and maybe take back the lead in this game. F5,
Well,
very
she went for
aggressive
a different
play.
approach. Yeah, we saw a Caracan, we saw, now we're seeing an Owens defense with b6, f5. I like it. I don't think the computer was that impressed, but on a practical level, it did pose some decisions to White. And now Polina just pushing forward, but okay, you can just move back or move forward with your knight. Queen takes pawn in the air. Gotta watch out.
Well, that pawn, you mean? This is, you're hungry for the free pawns again.
always on the lookout for some free material. And okay, there, bishop to g5. Yeah, I mean, it had
That's
to
a
be
good one.
defended. Definitely. The bishop is anchored as well. So decision time again. Do you kind of weaken your dark squares? Yeah, the bishop to f6 is what I'm also angling for.
Well, isn't it knight
sure.
b5?
Like it. And it's coming.
And black is in big trouble because if bishop defends with bishop e5, f4 or d4, maybe d4 even better.
Black's position is just creaking. Yeah. Yeah, you difficult decision. I guess you go. I don't have a good solution here to defend this one. Perhaps you can just roll the dice and your queen.
And of course, Polina is feeling very comfortable. Now material is going to be won by white.
Yeah. Do you think that this particular blunder with queen coming to e8 is a reflection actually of what happened in the earlier game? Because Alice could have been 2 points up, but she lost it, seconds down on the clock, annoyed with herself. Now she made that decision, queen to e8. No, she wasn't going to be trading off pieces. And there we're seeing that the rook is going to be falling.
I think it's her style that she's sharpening out and she makes these decisions. At the same time, I believe, of course, consciously she's not feeling that it's because of the game before. But of course, unconsciously, it affects her a lot because it cannot not affecting the game previously, because it's one thing that you're ruining a game, a winning position to a draw, but it's completely whole different story when you're ruining and you're losing it, especially when you have a lead. Of course, she understands, and everybody understands, that anything can happen still in the match. We've seen it before with Hou Yifan and Divya, but still, I mean, these moments when the completely winning position you're losing, there is no human who can just say, that was nothing, that's not. It affects you.
Yeah, it certainly would have affected me. And we're seeing that the knight did rescue itself from A8. And for Alice, she could take the rook, but then she just has to accept that she's going to be a piece down. And the thing is, you could be a piece down and have compensation because you've got some control over the light squares. But here, it is actually going to be White's bishop that is going to be super powerful, sitting pretty potentially on the d4 square. And Alice, under 30 seconds on the clock, she has to find a good way to mix things up.
Absolutely, but also if our audience sees it sometimes, that look at that bar, it's completely winning, right? In the previous game, it was kind of similarly, it was just completely winning for White. At the same time, at some point, I told you that with different color bishop, anything can happen in this game, because there are some dangers. If you make a blunder, you give away some squares, it's over. In this position, well, the knight is kept there on c7. That could be, I think, brought out. But still, black has much less practical chances than in the previous game, even though it was a huge advantage and winning for white, both cases. Now white wants to go knight d5, and it got blundered, because now the rook was moving out from the first rank, and now game is over.
Yep, and we see that Polina does win. Rook takes rook, or is in the air. It's a good idea, I think, by Alice, just to kind of play it out for a few moves, kind of shake off those demons, and then, well, she has got the white pieces. She will see whether she can also switch it up. And there we're seeing from Alice for the first time e4. So a very solid approach from Polina.
Absolutely, but I think Alice Lee started e4. Yeah, she's playing white, so it seems like a very clear strategy to changing alternating systems and different lines. But okay, it's a blitz match, right? But here, I think Alice Lee has difficult moments since the game 6 that she missed that opportunity to take a lead by 2 points in the match, and suddenly within 10 minutes she's behind in the match. And Polina is doing greatly in this system. So far, so good.
Yes. So far, so good. But for Alice, she has gotten a knight to f5. And I was going to say she's going to back it up if she's allowed to keep that knight there with f4 and then just open up the f line. And, well, would you look at that g4 from Alice? I like it, Judith. I got to applaud Alice's bravery. And there you're seeing that, her plan is now pretty simple. King h1 or f4 at the right time and just open everything up.
I was more for king h1 and rook g1, but f4 is very energetic. Let's see how black can react on that. King h7, queen f3. So white's plan is very clear. Playing for attack, develop, bring the other rook, doubling the rook on the g file, and at the end, smash on g7.
Yeah. And what do you think about this move from Polina, just coming out with the queen to b5? So presumably the queen wants to... Okay, c5 was the big idea. Because I'm a little bit concerned about this approach, because normally when you're under attack, you do not want the queen and king to be divorced. You want the queen to be somehow in the air protecting her king.
To be honest, I don't really understand what's going on the chessboard now from black side. I don't understand the queen b5 c5 idea. It seems like a complete panicking.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something that Polina must not do. I mean, we've seen her play some incredible chess, find some fantastic resources just to keep the games alive, and she's coming in with the queen. It looks menacing, but for Alice, I guess she just has to continue with her plan, rook b2, rook g2, just piling things up on the g line. Yeah.
Well, very difficult for black, I believe. I can even consider queen h3 or queen h5. Bless you. Bishop b2, queen c2 was played. I thought queen d2 will be the move, but now what? This is not possible yet.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe f takes e5 or.
Yeah. Could you? It's almost tempting to try and trap the queen. So I was thinking of queen e3 and then rook c1.
Queen f1.
But okay.
Queen f1 was possible, maybe.
Well, hang on a second. Paulina's bravery with the queen is on the verge of being rewarded, because now, if you don't want to be dropping the d3 pawn, you got to trade it, and then suddenly there is rook to d8 in the air, and then there's counter
Absolutely.
chances against. Yeah, and now it's really, really critical that Alice plays in the most aggressive manner possible, because rook d8 followed by pressure against d3 is going to be very serious try for the advantage for black.
Well, very unhappy turnaround for Alice Lee. She's behind 2 points. No, she's behind 1 point, right? Yeah,
Yes.
She's behind only 1 point, but the position she completely ruined. Her fantastic position. Of course, it's still scary for black with the idea of rook h3, but I believe that
Yeah.
what
Well,
about
there's
rook
still
e4?
some kind of
No,
ideas.
rook e4,
Rook
no.
e4,
No, rook e4 is losing because of the pin.
queen e4.
Yeah, but maybe
H5.
just there. Or that would be
It's
also
still
losing.
very much in the air, because you got queen e2. Look, queen e2, and then it feels that there's something in the air. Rook takes h5. Could you go rook takes h5 now? No, you can't. But it's in
No,
the
it was
air.
not possible. But rook g2 seems to be a very powerful move, because now black cannot take because of this checkmate. So this is the threat for now. That's why rook g2 was possible.
Well, Polina just
Scary
seconds
stuff.
left on the clock. She has to and now rook h8 is threatened. Follow it. And Alice is going to do it. Rook h8 followed by queen h. There you go. She can just sacrifice. And there's going to be checkmate on g7. And Alice finds it. And she levels the match. Wow,
Very important
Judith.
victory.
Absolutely. Super critical. And the players, this is probably going to be the final game in the 3+1 portion. Polina with the white pieces. And there we're seeing it is a completely strange struggle here in the middle game. We see white taking the center. Black is doing the hypermodern approach where they're playing to control the center. This came from Sicilian, with the O'Kelly with a6.
Well, black is playing very risky this game. It is clear that white has the upper hand, the clear advantage. Easy to play also for white. So Alice made a difficult position for herself, I must say.
But we've seen
for the
this
moment.
constantly from Alice. Like she plays very risky variations, very committal ideas, which really forces Paulina to play aggressively. And here we're seeing, okay, Paulina doing everything that you should do in a classical sense. She gets the center, she just centralizes the rook. And now Alice is going to play something I can imagine. I was going to say E5. I just know that Alice is going to do E5. And sure enough, it appears.
Yeah, absolutely. But you see that Polina is making very healthy moves, and of course, for White Knight is going to be landing on D5. But it seems like Black is first to play Knight D4, and I think I like it kind of because that's the square for the Knight, earlier or later. But it seems like if it's possible, then why not to make it earlier? I thought White will be playing Knight D5 actually before, where anyway Black would be playing Knight D4, trying to
Yeah.
equalize.
And I was expecting Paulina actually to kind of go D5 as opposed to capturing on the center in the center with D takes E5. But instead, okay, we have a position where I think Alice is absolutely fine. It's a very open position. So both sides will be looking at putting their pieces in the best squares. And question time, where are you going to go with that bishop? She steps back. And I'm expecting a knight to jump into
What about Queen B6?
E5. Yeah, this is the issue.
On the board. On the board.
And
And
how to
it's the end.
save. Yeah. Well, just like the burger says, everything is well done, challenge. And yeah, that's exactly what Black has done. Challenge in the center. How to save the knight or the bishop. And knight d5 is simply going to be met by bishop takes d5.
Yeah, but it looks very bad. I mean, Knight D5 takes and takes. This is what we're having on the board. Hopeless completely for Polina. Very few practical chances.
Yes. And
Very little.
yeah. And this is actually very bad for White. Rook takes bishop, pawn takes f2. And yeah, Polina is not happy. And this is the final game in the 3+1
F4.
portion.
Even Knight F4 is possible.
Then queen takes.
Takes and Knight E2 check.
And here I'll be playing b4 just to anchor the bishop to c3.
You want to play b4. I understand.
Yeah.
I was also ready to go with the knight to f4 and e6. But okay, this is also problematic part of White's position.
Well, Alice, not so much time on the clock, Judith. And the thing is, you do have to rearrange your pieces so that the minor pieces are stable. And the two rooks, they can just easily flip between the king side, the queen side, come up the board, down the board. So I don't think this is very easy at all for Alice. The rook
I
is
feel
taking
e5 was a wonderful practical chance.
Yes.
I think it was a really cool move.
Yeah, brilliant defense there from Polina. And now it's not easy at all. You can take the rooks, and the rook c6 is coming. Rook c8 is also in the air. It's not going to be easy for Black to hold on to
rook
the
a8.
points.
Yeah. Now it can go. White can save it. White can save it.
Yeah.
Great fighting spirit by Polina. e5, great move.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, well, some interesting moves there from Alice. I mean, I guess she just wants to use the c3 square for her knight and target that. Bishop a3, bishop c3. a4, be careful from Alice.
Yeah, but the bishop on a3 is not standing well. I mean, it's not a nice square for the bishop. Okay, black wants to go knight d5, knight c3.
Yeah. Black is dreaming about putting a knight on c3. And the thing was, Polina was being very tricky. When the bishop was coming to c3, she was going her rook to c6 and then threatening a4 as a move. And then she was doing it again, a4 in the air. And now, a4.
Oh, a4.
A4. Sorry.
Not funny for black. No. Pass pawn, please. King is out.
Exactly. And Alice there with seconds. Polina just showing her resilience here as she just begins to turn around what was the worst position. Oh, knight e5. She didn't see it.
No, one move late.
Yeah. And well, Alice there with seconds left on the clock. It's a big fight. And now the B pawn is going to come marching. And now the beautiful move, a7. And
too bad.
Polina turns it around. Wow. There you can see Polina making a grimace. She knows that she was lucky. But in the end, they say that every player makes their own luck. And that's exactly what Polina did. She played that rook to c6. She set up the whole trappy idea of pushing the a pawn. And for Alice, so close to getting that win. And in the end, it is Alice who is trailing by 1 point. Judith, I mean, what does it take for our players to level up, to emerge triumphant in the bullet portion, which is coming up next?
Well, I think for Alice, it's going to be very difficult, these moments, these seconds. At the same time, the break of 1 or 2 minutes, it comes in the best time. Because now she can say, okay, I made this, whatever, you have your thoughts. And then you say, okay, now I just go and focus for the last portion of the event of this match. And obviously in 1 minute, anything, and the opposite of that can happen. So nothing is lost. It's no big deal at all because we are going to be witnessing at least a few games. So she can win easily if she's very much in form and she's extremely focused. So it's no big deal. It's only the pain that she screwed it up this position. Instead of winning, she was losing.
Absolutely, Judith, you are 100% right. Because in the bullet portion, it's going to come down to your focus, your energy, your tactical awareness, and also how quick you are with the mouse. And talking about mouses, well, you can level up your office or gaming space with a Chess.com mousepad. Whether you're looking for a surface that supports mouse speed in a bullet game or a desk accessory to match your aesthetic, we've got the sleek and stylish mousepad for you in 3 unique designs. So visit go.chess.com/mousepads or use !shop in chat to explore the collection. And we are going to be back for that final sprint, the 1+1 portion, right after this break.
Hey, I'm Grandmaster Pepe Cuenca, and if I had to name this game, I would call it the Festival of the Intermediate Move. You absolutely can't miss this tactical gem played by 15-year-old American rising star Alice Lee, who had the black pieces against former world champion Marija Musichuk from Ukraine in the Cairns Cup. The game starts with the Rosalimo variation, a calm and positional line. and we get a Maroczy structure, always nice and smooth for white. Muzychuk plays her bishop on the long diagonal and plays a4, preventing the typical b5 counterplay for black. But then Alice plays queen to g5, and Muzychuk had a golden chance to strike with e5. That would have been decisive. The point is that after knight f3, the black queen is in real trouble, and even the bishop from b2 can come back into the action via c1. Tactical fireworks. But in the actual game, Muzychuk plays bishop c1 instead, a bit slow. And now white plays b4, a bold space grabbing move. And from here on, buckle up, because Alice Lee delivers a sequence of 5-6 insane moves in a row. First, knight to d7. The idea, if white pushes b5, black has the intermezzo knight to c5, attacking the queen. And after that, the bishop just calmly returns to d7. But now white has weakened the dark squares, sneaky stuff. White plays f4, trying to stop all these jumps. But here comes the hammer, a5, kaboom! Now the c5 square is guaranteed for the knight. Then white plays queen to e3. And what does Alice do? Another crazy intermezzo, e5, boom again. There is a fork on d4. And after knight d to e2, Alice shows zero mercy. Bishop takes e4. And wait for it, after knight takes e4, we get another intermediate move. Boom! Bang, 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 black gets the piece back with decisive advantage. In the game, white played knight to g3, thinking the game's over in her favor. But look at this absolute beauty. Wait, what? Is black just giving away the queen? Nope, here comes rook to e1 check, and the queen is miraculously saved in apotheotic fashion. If the king goes to f2, then there's a nasty fork on d3. And if the king goes to h2, like in the game, black calmly plays bishop to e5, sealing the deal. After all that tactical artillery, we reach an endgame where black is up an exchange and a pawn, and the queenside pawns are just sitting there like fruit waiting to be picked up by the bishop. Alice collects the nectar, pushes the pawns, and after rook to c1, Muzychuk resigns, because after rook takes a1, the rook from a8 stops the h-pawn cleanly. What a game!
The fastest, easiest way to improve your chess is now the most fun way to improve your chess. Chess.com's brand new puzzles now have loads of exciting features to make solving a joy. Earn points and race your friends across puzzle tiers from wood to bronze, all the way to legend. Rack up bonuses for streaks, for speed, for accuracy, for daily solving, difficulty, and more. And now, you can get feedback from Coach while solving puzzles. Coach lets you know what each puzzle's goal is and why a move doesn't actually work. And, as always, puzzles will be selected just for your level from our database of hundreds of thousands of high-quality, beautiful, brilliant, and instructive puzzles. So what are you waiting for? Try puzzles today on web, Android, or iOS, and have a blast leveling up your chess.
We are back for the bullet portion of the final quarter-final match, and it is between Alice Lee and Polina Shuvalova. Polina Shuvalova, she is leading by 1 point. The winner of this match goes through to the semis. Only one will survive, and for these players, it's all about that blazing fast speed. It's all about the endurance, the energy, the tactics, absolutely all the emotions that they can bring to this game. Judith, what does it take for these guys to level up to that next level in bullet?
Forget about everything. Mistake has happened in the previous more than an hour with all these games they played, and just be ready with your mind and the mouse. Mm-hmm. Go for it. Catalan again, repetition in opening.
It is a repetition, and there we see Alice, which is changed it up a little bit. So we have the queen to c1, so this is a lot more mainstream, and the exchanges keep happening. But both of these players seem incredibly well versed in this particular opening, and I love this move, seizing space on the king side. getting ready, dreaming of that expansion on that side, maybe even a kingside attack. Wink, wink.
And look at that. The players are having more time than they started out with. So they are just making it seems like they both think that they have to finish the game with more time than they started. Just now. Just now. Move 24. Polina goes under a minute. And what happened? The
Yeah,
pawn
and
is gone?
she took a pawn. She went rook a e8, and then queen takes a5, and Polina just lost a pawn there in that opening transition. And well, still a
Sacrifice.
very wild position. And offering queen
Well,
trade.
it's
But
not
this
going to
is
be a
just
good
going to be
outcome.
comfortable.
The problem is
White
in these
controls.
positions, again, that there are very little practical chances for black to save it.
Hmm. And there you see, beautiful move there from Alice as she just destabilizes the pawns there on the left side of the board. But Polina fighting hard, rook to b8. She's determined to meet a takes b7 with rook takes rook, followed by rook takes pawn, and then there's going to be pressure against the b pawn. So Alice pausing for a little while. A7 still in the air. It's decision time. So she drops the bishop back. And there you can see that there's a poll that Alice, well, there's a lot of fans of Alice there in chat. 78% think that she is going to win this match. So we'll see who is correct, as Polina is in the lead. And Alice is looking to strike back immediately as she nurtures that one pawn advantage in the game.
Well, it was not necessarily a great exchange, the a7 passed pawn to the c6. Now black significantly increased her chances to save the game because her bishop on d4 stands at least as good as the white bishop into center. And also there is no pawn down anymore.
No, and in fact, Polina has turned it around so that she is a pawn up. And what's great about Polina's bishop is that it has the potential to be anchored to a pawn, and it can go to f6. I like this as well. And more importantly than that, there's a b pawn that is going to be running up the board. And Polina just playing very, very quick. But Alice, just 6 seconds left on the clock.
Exactly. Alice is again suffering from the time element, though she's gaining back the very important e6 pawn, which was quite a surprise for black, I believe. And now some mating net will show up from white side.
Yeah, and I was going to say that it looked like there was issues with the black king, but now we've transitioned into a rook and pawn ending, and whoa, it's a b pawn. It's running up the board. Going to be very difficult to stop that one. And Polina is going to win the g pawn. This is just lost for white.
Well, things were happening very fast in this bullet game, and it's hard to say how white is going to be saving the game. It will be extremely difficult. Does white have any practical chance to do so?
Well, the
B2.
problem is that you can also lose the f pawn or the h pawn. One of those. Okay, she's just simply walking the king up. Ah, very nice. And
well, was it the best way to win the game?
Well, it's going to take a lot of time, right, for Alice to play this one out. So Polina, she is still 1 point ahead. So it's in her interest to drag this game out for as long as possible. Now this one is actually a way that she just clinches because the h-pawn is unstoppable once the king gets out of the way. So Alice now trailing by 2 points, and it's heartbreaking because Alice was winning that first game, but okay, she has to readjust, and now she's got the black pieces. It's a Caro-Kann. And Polina just playing in a very stable way with the exchange variation. Now it's going to be all about maneuvering. Now comes the knight into e5. And for black, black wants to go for an eventual b5, b4 pawn advance. So that's why we're seeing a4 on the board.
Well, look at that, how Polina is going for the professional simplification. She says, I have 2 points lead. So actually, I don't have to force matters. I don't have to win. Alice Lee is the one who has to come up and score points, right? And so far, I like very much the way Polina is playing this bullet game. She plays fast. She plays very clearly that she's not one to sharpen things out. At the same time, still she plays healthy. She puts her pieces on healthy positions. So it's the best you could dream of in the match situation. F3, blocking out the black knight from e4, opening up the road for the king towards the center.
And this is the kind of position where white will play on for a long, long time. And okay, well, now we have a mistake, but it doesn't really matter in the long run because white will drag this game on for another 2 minutes. And this is part of the whole experience of playing a match like this. It's all about that match clock, not just the position on the board.
Well, it seems like black really turned around things. b4 was a risky move because this c3 pawn seems to be that it's going to be falling off. And these moves, what white have been playing, f3 and g4, it's not going to be a real attacking one, but maybe it's going to give some weakness to the white king. But let's see how black wants to be attacking and grabbing that pawn on c3. It's not so simple because in the last few moves, white is consolidating her position.
Yeah. And the black king is now marching in, it's eyeballing the h3 pawn. It's going to go king h4, king f4 in the air. And yes, it is in. And now we're seeing that
that's
black knight
painful.
jumps in. Yeah. So, but the thing is, there's only 7 minutes in the match timer. So you can take on c3. And sure enough, it does.
Okay, exchange
And
everything and yeah, over.
Yeah, but the problem here, Judith, is that white is not going to be resigning. You can carry this game on for how many moves? Okay, I say that, and resign happens. And now, well, there's only 1 point in it, and Alice has the white piece. It's still very much a fight for both of these players.
h3? Is this a real
Yeah.
move, h3, in this position?
Yes,
Is it?
it's a very
People
trendy
play
move. Yeah.
Really?
People play,
Wow.
they play h3. You're just kind of losing a tempo, and you're going to argue further on down the line that h3 is more useful than whatever black did. And
Wow.
there we're seeing that this is now transposed into the mainstream type positions.
Don't tell me white is castling long.
No. Although having said that, g4 made an appearance, and I wasn't expecting
g4
that. So
I like a lot. Knight g3, knight f5. Even after g6, you can go knight f5 at some point.
Yeah, but castling queenside is not something on the agenda whatsoever. I mean, instead,
probably white is just keeping in the center.
Yeah, and we're seeing the knight coming in. What next? f3.
Alice Lee is ready to equalize the match. I don't know how.
Polina is having a say here, though, as she's starting to initiate some exchanges. The problem for Polina is that now you can take and then go knight e5.
This is what I was worried before, even, that if black goes g5 and rook g6, can't white get in trouble with her bishop?
It certainly looks that way.
Oops.
And this...
Bad news.
Okay. It is bad news, but can Alice roll the dice once more and just cause an queen takes rook. Queen takes rook. Rook is hanging. Oi, oi, oi. And Alice pulls a rabbit out of the hat. Wow, Polina blunders. And well, we are going to see Alice make a comeback, and everything is going to be completely equal with just 4 minutes remaining on the match clock.
But look at that. Black is back in business. I mean, what a counterattack, grabbing the g4.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Wow.
Queen a7. Look at that.
Incredible.
Queen a7. No.
No. A beautiful move there. Queen b7, and now the g pawn
Knight-
is going to be falling.
Now it's bad again.
The g pawn will fall. Oh, what is happening? She dropped the rook. She dropped the rook on b4. Oh, no. And the player's just seconds left. And yeah, this is painful. What a turnaround. And there we're seeing Alice is trying. Well, she does have a passed b pawn, so still anything can happen as the queen can come and give a check. But unfortunately, the g pawn is also going to be promoting. Just 3 minutes remaining on the match clock, and I don't know when, judging from her expression, can quite believe what's happening.
Yeah, quite unbelievable series of mistakes and blunders.
Well, it's the clock. But if Alice can somehow claw this to a draw and do it relatively quickly, then there's still everything to play for in the final game. And no, the queens are going to come off, and Polina wins. 2 minutes and 16 seconds remaining in the match, and Alice is trailing by 2 points, which means in effect that barring Polina making some terrible mistakes, Polina is going to be our next semi-finalist. Leading by 2 points, it's insurmountable.
Well, let's see if Alice Lee can bounce back and do it fast, so she can have another opportunity to play one more game, right? Because there's 7-5, the lead for Polina. So if this game exceeds more than 1.5 minutes more, then there is no game left. And even if Polina loses this, she wins the match. So it's not only there is a win on demand for Alice, but something
She has to
goes
do
wrong
it.
here.
Yeah,
c4.
but Polina's making all the right moves. Queen takes h5 is in the air. There's also b4. Okay, she grabs that pawn. And
Queen f3.
b4 is also queen f3. And sure enough, Alice. And now we've just got 56 seconds remaining on the match clock. Queen takes d5 is not possible because of rook to d8. But okay, the queens are coming off. And yeah. There's still time for 2 matches. But Alice will need some magic to happen.
f3, the rook is trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, no hope left for Alice. She collapsed at some point of the match.
Yeah, she just left so many points on the tables. It was just the clock, I would say. She didn't quite manage to hold her nerve. But Polina, wow, she put up a real fight, and she played so quickly, and she was constantly, on the aggressive, constantly just taking advantage of those opportunities. This is going to be the final game in the match, And there we see Polina with the black pieces. Doesn't matter what the outcome is in this particular game. Polina is going to be in the semifinals. She'll be facing off against Wenjun in a repeat of last year's WSCC final. Yeah, great match though. So close.
I'm curious if Alice can finally win the game. So to finish it with that note, this match, because there were so many things going wrong for her today. Knight on F5, nice outpost.
But that's the thing, the results kind of don't really tell the whole story. The whole story is that Alice was winning in a lot of games. In the final seconds, she spotted opportunities, and it still feels close. And there we see
there was
Polina.
There was a lot of blunders by her. Yeah, it was many blunders. I see now that she had such a pleasant position, and it seems like the blundering is continuing.
Yeah. Do you think that that's because of the nature of some of the earlier games? Like we saw Alice could have been 2 points up, but instead she lost and the match was equal. And it was just they were so painful, right, because of the blunders at the end.
I see that it happens many times with youngsters, that when it starts to be unstable and losing some games and making very serious mistakes, they cannot handling it fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it's also because of lack of experience of handling it, how calm you have to do it, how fast you have to react, shift your mindset. And so wasn't bishop f6 just winning a piece? Rook?
It was.
And of course you can have simply a bad day.
Mm-hmm. And well, we see, at least as a consolation, that Alice will be winning this particular game, and then that definitely helps in terms of the prize money distribution, and also it feels a little less painful if you win. But we've got to give credit to Polina though for just putting up a fight, finding those opportunities, being as resourceful as possible. I mean, we also saw some fabulous moments. Okay, and suddenly we see a switch, as now it's the B pawn that is rolling down the boards, B2, B1 in the air, and seconds left on the clock. So we can't really blame the players for making those mistakes. And there, the B pawn promotes, and it will be Polina who wins this in a topsy-turvy game. And the great thing about this type of position is that you can just build up some time on the clock. You can just shuffle the king, the knight. There you go. Now the king is making the inroads, and Polina wins. Ooh, Polina is our next semi-finalist, and it came down to bullets. It was decided in those final few games, and smile on Polina's face says it all. She is through to the semi-finals and wins with a convincing score of 9 points to 5, and it is goodbye to Alice. But Judit, it was still a thriller of a match.
Well, it was a real roller coaster for people who like when the game shifts back and forth, win to draw, drawn to loss, going back and forth. Basically, we were not able to guess which game will be and in what result, because there were a lot of nerves here in this match. And well, sometimes it happens that you have a bad day, and this is what happened with Alice. At the same time, for Polina, she was acting very well and making her good decisions. she was in shape for today, much better shape than her opponent.
Yes. And well, also here we see it. We have our semi-finalists locked in. It is going to be Wenjun, the WSCC champion, reigning 5-time women's world champion, and also reigning Blitz world champion. If that's not enough, she's playing off against Polina Shuvalova, someone that she met actually last year in the WSCC final. And then we have our second semi-final match. Hou Yifan faces the might of Katerina Lagno. I mean, so many exciting matches in store for us as we enter the semi-finals. Well, we are going to go on a short break, and when we return, we are going to be catching up with Polina Shuvalova and to hear her thoughts.
Wear your love of chess on your sleeve with all new apparel and accessories from the Chess.com merch store. Maybe you simply want a clock that will never run out, or a mousepad that will finally unlock your speed chess potential. Whether you play chess to get energized with your morning coffee, or play into the wee hours of the night and witness the occasional alien abduction, we've got something for every king, queen, and knight in shining armor. Even gift cards for your loved ones who've caught the chess bug. So check out the Chess.com shop for apparel, accessories, and more. Grab your favorites before they're gone.
We're in Salt Lake City recording studio, an amazing little studio out of a home here, and we are recording an audiobook for my book, Dark Squares, How Chess Saved My Life. Whenever we'd pass the fast food restaurants, the question on every kid's mind was, will we go straight home or do we stop at McDonald's? If you don't know what it is to be in a cult, which hopefully many people listening to this do not because you did not have that experience, to be a part of a high control, high demand, a high stress situation where there is hierarchy and status and control and power and everyone is fighting for it and within it. It is a commune. It was full communism. We were poor. I mean, we were broke. And living in poverty, the thing that matters more than anything else is food. I mean, I think if you really expand the human dynamic and the human experience, before even a kid can start to value toys and before a human can think about material things, like fundamentally, the nourishment from food is what we crave, and food meant status in the collective, access to food. We grew up poor. To say we were on food stamps wouldn't really cut it. But as we started to travel as a chess team and as the chess team experienced success, the access we were gaining to the outside world and the ability to go to places like McDonald's was more, a lot of kids like going to McDonald's, but it was different for us. Not only would you get scolded, your family would get judged. Sometimes I'd forget my place and blurt out, "Gary, are we going to McDonald's?" To which she would simply reply, "I don't know if we're going to McDonald's or not, Danny. It's not up to you, and it's not something you should be asking about." The word "you" carried emphasis in those moments. The word "you" carried emphasis in those moments where you let yourself slip out of turn. More important than the accolades I was starting to earn as an All-American chess team member and winning national championships was the status I was sort of gaining within the collective as sort of the, the apple of Stephen Camp's eye, the person who led the collective, and what that did to change kind of the power dynamics of both my relationship with the adults and the authority figures, but the general relationship I had sort of on the totem pole, the hierarchy that very much kind of governed the status of people in the community. Having seen a lot of that now through the eyes I have and the perspective I've gained, it was a fascinating journey to appreciate how much status I was gaining as a young chess prodigy. Now, anytime we were leaving the Chess Emporium and driving through our favorite strip of fast food joints on our way home, I didn't have to hesitate. "Hey Gary," I'd say, "are we going to McDonald's?" And I wouldn't get scolded. Gary would just say, "Yep," and the left blinker would go on. That's the level I had risen to.
Hello and welcome back. I'm here with Judith, but we're also going to be joined by Polina Shuvalova, our new semi-finalist. Now there we can see Polina. Well, in the end, the scoreline was rather convincing, 9 points in your favor. But tell us, how are you feeling? Because it felt like it was quite a close, maybe topsy-turvy match.
Yeah, I feel definitely happy because the match started very unclear, and she's very young and talented. She's very tricky, and she also plays very fast. She has like quite a high rating in both blitz and bullet. I saw her match, like previous match. She had like 2800. Now she's 2900, so it's quite a significant improvement. Of course, it was not easy. Yeah, I felt the speed she played. She was confident, but yeah, I also felt like the games were pretty in my turn. So like I was playing more or less good chess, but blundering a lot. That was the bad part. The game in which we both blundered like 2 rooks per game was like the clearest point of this. I think one of the last games. But anyways, I think it was interesting match, and we had an intrigue till the end. I was not sure how it will go in the bullet segment, as she's like very fast. But yeah, it turned out to be a good score for me in bullet as well. So I'm happy with that.
Polina, congratulations for your victory. It was a very stressful match as we were following live. I noticed that in the first portion with the 5 minutes time, you played extremely fast. Was this your plan and strategy that you're playing so fast from the very beginning?
Yeah, thanks, Judith. But as well, I played fast and bad, so it was maybe not the part of the plan. Yeah, I just generally try to play fast, as anyways it goes to the 1+1 thing when we play an increment. So yeah, I didn't like really trying to play especially fast with her, just trying to play chess.
And you mentioned there about plans, and I know that in the first match you were playing whilst you were playing the Turkish Chess League, but now you're not playing, and you did amazing there. So congratulations on that performance. But I was just wanted to know, what were your plans going into this match? What was your preparation like?
I came back like yesterday at night, so I was just like yesterday I was just chilling and resting with my dogs and trying to sleep a lot at night. That was basically all of my preparation for the day's match. So I played some bullet games and was just walking and trying to get in shape. Yeah, that's it.
I would ask one more question regarding the not only the time control, but how is it to play this very tense, nearly 2 hours of chess? Basically, you don't have a break in between the 5 minutes, only like 1 or 2 minutes or few minutes in between the different time controls. How easy or how difficult or how impossible it is to bounce back after a huge blunder if you lose, let's say, and then immediately you resign, and in chess.com the starting position comes up and you have to start again. How can you manage that?
Yeah, first of all, I really like the format of such matches, and I would like to play more chess even on such early things at chess.com. As previous years, we were playing like more time, not a 2 hours match, but 3 hours and 4 hours, which we will play in semifinals and finals. So it's very enjoyable for me to play this match, to play against one opponent, a lot of games, try to to see what are the plans for the match, what are the some like some psychological things and all that stuff. I think, I found it very interesting. So first of all, I really enjoy such matches, and I'm happy that I won the match and I went through to another match. And I think it's also, we have some time, like you said, five or more minutes between the segments, so it's more or less enough, I think, to rest a bit and to prepare for the next segment.
Well, you'll get your wish. In the semi-finals, you're going to have a longer match, and I'm sure you're going to keep us all entertained as you play Wenjun. We do have some questions for chat and some very interesting ones. Krishna asks a very curious question: a choice of drink during the online chess session.
My choice of drink.
Yes, your choice, because we did
Or what's
see you
the
drinking something. I mean, what was it? I didn't catch that.
My first drink was some juice, and my drink for the bullet session segment was a black tea. Yeah.
I approve. And also, I had some other questions. BGH13 asks, you were able to weather some really tough positions. How were you able to stay so resourceful and keep finding those wins?
I'm trying generally to play chess. Nevertheless, what happens in my games is sometimes my games go wrong from the very beginning. So I'm quite used to keep myself even after some blunders and some bad things going. And I also think that it's for the speed chess, it is quite important thing to be capable to still play after big blunders and losses as well.
Thank you. Yes. And can I ask you one final question from our chat audience, because it's a good one, and I'd like you to answer it. Polina, this is a question from Frank Nietzsche. It says, Polina, if your game today was a movie, what would the title be?
Oh wow, this is not easy. Let's say, I don't know. Like in Russian, it's called начало. Invictus. I don't know. Okay, some movie of Nolan. Let's see.
Okay. Well, movie of Nolan. Christopher Nolan's a very good director and an action movie, so I like that one. But congratulations, Polina, once again on qualifying through to the semifinals, and we wish you the best of luck in your match against Wenjun.
Looking forward.
Thank you very much.
And there we have it. Everyone is locked in. 4 participants remain. It is, of course, Wenjun facing off against Polina Shuvalova. But on Wednesday, it is going to be Hou Yifan, WSCC champion 2023, playing against another former WSCC champion, Blitz champion, Katerina Lagno. Whew, it's going to be an incredible matchup.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think we're going to see it all, aren't we? Another roller coaster match, but this time the players will have longer. So we'll see whether they'll be able to withstand the storm, whether their endurance, the energy will match up. It's going to be a very intriguing match. And Judith, I mean, today as well, it was so close and so many levels. It was also incredibly exciting, full of action, adventure. But in the end, Polina Shuvalova, she is our semi-finalist after defeating Alice Lee. I'd like to thank you, Judith, for guiding us through the action, sharing with us all your knowledge, all your stories. And it has been a very exciting event so far, with the best still to come in the semis and the finals. But as we wrap up, we are going to take a look back at some of all the incredible action we have witnessed so far. So enjoy, and we'll see you then.
She's got the game. Karina, she's going to make a comeback.
She is. And wow, Karina there with a fist pump.
Whoa, why would you trade bishops there? As we see, oh, it's a draw now after b5. Alice Lee, clutch there.
Nervy moments here. Uh-oh.
It looks like it's toast now. The queen is going to swoop in and... What?
She flagged.
Time's up. Should have resigned. Now her only chance is if Polina somehow blows this.
Everything is coming in, eyeballing the Black King. Black is not going to be surviving this. And Polina wins. And suddenly b7.
Zushina shakes her head. She's about to resign with a few seconds left. Bibisara, miracle maker.
That one should have been tempted to sideline the knight. And oh,
Rook e5 wins on the spot. Wow, what a find. Double exclamation mark. Brutal from Bibisara.
oh, g4 trapping the rook. Wow.
Bibisara starting to collapse.
There you go. The queen is going to fall, so you give up the ghost pretty quickly, on the verge of being... Oh, she blundered her rook! And Divya, wow, she has been gifted this.
Oof, 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 oof. Rook f7,
No.
game over.
7.
Oh, mate.
And we have it. Hou Yifan does it. She equalizes the match. You can see the emotion on her face.
Oh, knight e5.
Okay, now knight.
Blunders to one move.
This is it. And Hou Yifan, she promotes, and this is the game that gets her a spot in the semi-finals. Hou Yifan wins in Armageddon. She wins on demand. Good preparation there from Alice. And wow, look at this. The g3 pawn is going to be falling. This is not good for white whatsoever. 4 seconds. Oh. And this is it. Black is going to win. What was the worst position? Oh, knight to e5. She didn't see it. Polina turns it around. Pause and queen takes rook. Queen takes rook. Rook is hanging. Oh, she dropped the rook on b4. Polina is going to be in the semi-finals.